everyone, Britt Albert here. If this is your first time here, I'm a spiritual transformational life coach, and it's my goal for this channel to help you overcome the obstacles that are standing in the way of you living your best and most authentic life. In today's video, I have a guest with me. You've seen her on another collab that we've done before. Jodi, we are here in the flesh, actually standing next to each other. Can you guys believe it? I am so excited. Today we're going to be talking about why we became life coaches. So I'll let you take the floor first and share why you became a life coach.
All right. So why did I become a life coach? Well, I had a career as an art director doing graphic design for my house for many, many years, and kind of woke up one day and thought, I hate doing this. I was getting new clients and I dreaded every single day thinking about doing it. It was like pulling teeth to get me to do it. And then life's obstacles on top of that were making it even more challenging. And I just was kind of feeling like I was dying inside. And I know that may sound a bit extreme, but the truth is that's kind of how I felt. Things were just really kind of piling up. And I really needed to figure out what it was that I wanted to do for myself that was different. And I knew that a career change was coming. I could feel this. This was something that didn't just happen overnight. I did wake up one morning going, I don't want to do this today, when I got an email from a client. And it really kind of pushed me over the edge, but it took me a while. I still did it. I'm still doing some graphic design work, but I started to search, well, what is it, Jodi, that you want to do? And I honestly can't tell you how. I had no clue. I had literally no idea what I wanted. And I started realizing that most of the time my wants and my needs for myself were all based on everybody in my family and what they wanted and what they needed. And I really thought, well, what do I want? What do I want to do? And because of everything I was going through with my husband and cancer and caring for him and all of that, I was already feeling a little bit overwhelmed. And I went to a counseling session with somebody, and I told her how I really just hated my job and I really wanted to switch it. She said, when you go through major life changes like you're going through right now, everything feels different. And the old of you never goes back to who you were before. So you're going through a major life change right now, and I don't really recommend you changing too much, but you do need to start figuring out what it is that you want for yourself in each and every little day. At the very end of my long conversation with this therapist, she told me, you know, I have to be honest with you, some of the coping techniques that you've developed and what you're going through are pretty substantial, I think is the word that she used. And I really wish that you could even help some of my clients. And I thought, here I am at my very first therapy session and you're asking me to help your clients. And she said, you should consider going into therapy. You would be a really good therapist. And I thought, wow, that's a pretty nice thing to say. And a couple years went by. I started to write. I wrote a couple novels and really enjoyed that. But there still was just something, they were fiction. It wasn't really fulfilling me as much. And I can't really pinpoint exactly what wanted me to be a life coach. But I did go through a dark night of the soul moment. I hit rock bottom emotionally. I didn't care if I lived or died. I didn't care about anything. I had no feeling, no emotion. I mean, I had emotion. I just was very, very, very low. And it wasn't one event that caused this. It was a catastrophic events in all areas. And I did remember the thing that the therapist told me about when you're going through changes and things are happening in you, and then, you know, just so much is happening and the old is dying. And I felt that. Yeah. I felt like my old self was no longer there. And as a very really into energy and able to feel energy and being an empath, I started looking into that more and really was feeling drawn to life coaching. And so I started doing some research and looking at other life coaches online and realized, wow, this seems amazing. And I actually kind of have a funny story. because I had mentioned this to my husband that I was considering being a life coach, and the very same morning we were watching something, I think it was on Good Morning America, and this woman got online and they asked her what her title was, and she said, "I'm a woman empowerer." And I said, "Well, there you go, Craig, that's my new title. I'm a women's empowerer. Just sign me up right now. That's what I'm going to do." And I was kidding. But the truth is, I'm a people empowerer now. And that's not going to be something that I put on my business cards, but it is certainly something that I'm doing. And I'm so, so happy. And I met Britta through our coaching program that we both went to. A very intense and beautiful program.
Yes.
And I had done several certification programs before that. They taught me nothing, but I have made lasting friendships. I have developed skills that they themselves spent, years,
Yeah.
20 years
Oh,
developing, that they have now taught to us. And so I really love it. And I'm so grateful that my friend is here with me visiting. And that's how I became a life coach.
Yep.
So what about you? What's your story?
So for me, I think it's amazing to see the parallels of everybody's story of kind of what shifts you in that direction, because I don't know a single child who goes to kindergarten or preschool and says, "I want to be a life coach when I grow up." It's usually, "I want to be a fireman. I want to be a doctor. I want to be," well, in my case, there was a lot of little girls that say, "I want to be the first woman president," or, I wanted to be a singer when I grew up. And a lot of y'all don't know I sing, but I do.
I did not know that.
Yes. And I was absolutely I knew I was going to be a singer when I grew up, and I really didn't want to hear any other option because that's what I was going to do. And life happens. Many, many, many different things led me down different paths, which ultimately landed a job where I was running a gym. And although I loved this job, I loved all the members of our gym, I loved the people that I worked with for the most part, there was one person who I really had a difficult time syncing with. And it was the first time in my life I've ever met somebody that I could not communicate with. It was the most bizarre thing, and I apologize, there's a wasp, so if I
She's
run...
a little terrified of the flying insects at my house. The person.
Yes. So it was the first time in my life that I'd ever not been able to really communicate with somebody. And it was really bizarre because she would say something and I would say something, and we would kind of go back and forth and really butt heads. And the more that I pressed, we found that we were actually saying the same thing. I feel like we were very like-minded on many ways, but we were not energetically aligned. And that was the first time I'd ever experienced that at all. And it was it turned into such a toxic situation that I really started to question who I was as a leader. And I was really questioning everything about myself. I wanted to walk out of that job so badly, but I am very good friends with my boss, and I did not want to leave her stranded. And that was one of the main things. And I kind of decided, okay, well, the second thing other than just loyalty is the fact that I'm married and I have 4 kids, and I did not want to just, "Hey honey, guess what? I quit my job today." My being happy doesn't pay the bills, but hey, guess what? I'm not miserable anymore. Like, I can't do that to my family. So I knew that I had to wait. I couldn't just quit my job. I couldn't just walk away. Not only I would ruin that friendship with my boss, who she owned the gym, and secondly, I couldn't do that to my family. So no matter how miserable I was gonna have to wait. I was going to have to find something else and then give in a decent notice. So I started to kind of apply for jobs here and there. I didn't want just anything because I didn't want to be desperate. It had to match up financially so that I wasn't, again, just putting my family in a dire situation. But the toxicity at work got worse and worse and worse. And I'm trying my best to do it the right way. And it got to a point where there was nothing that I could control except for signing up new members and cleaning the gym. And I was never one to put on headphones when you're on the floor, because I always wanted to be approachable for our members. I wanted them to be able to talk to me. But it was so bad that I was physically sick every morning before going to work. I would try to think up ways to call out of work, and like, I can't do that. Like, I'm not that person. I can't do that. But I desperately wanted to call out like every day. So as I'm there, I finally just put headphones on and I just start cleaning and I'm cleaning and I'm cleaning, and I'm deep cleaning this club like every single day. This club, the members loved it because the club had never been cleaner. It was fantastic. And that's all that I could do. I had to dig deep and I had to focus on what I could control. And when that became not enough to motivate me to go to work, I had to remember, I asked myself what I love about my job. And this is where it really clicked. When I asked myself what I loved about my job, it wasn't the sales. It wasn't that my good friend is my boss. It wasn't that I loved our members so much. Although those things are true, for me, what I loved about my job was the difference that I got to make in people's lives. And I am on a trip right now. I'm actually not going to be home for about a month. So you'll see some videos as I'm on the road. But when I get back, one of the people who was my main motivator for becoming a life coach is actually going to give his testimony video. But if you want to search him up, there's already a video on YouTube about our experience together. His name is Gerald Yenny, and you can just type in YouTube Gerald Yenny, Anytime Fitness, and you'll see his video and you'll hear his story. And having that story of being able to help him and so many others is what I loved about my job. And there was just this literal moment of clarity where I never considered life coaching. I had considered psychology before and decided to get my degree in business instead of psychology. But it was an actual moment where a switch got flipped and I realized I should be a life coach. This is what a life coach is. This is what a life coach does. And then I had this moment where it's like my life flashed before my eyes and I started going backwards and backwards and backwards, and I was analyzing all these relationships that I've had, all these friendships that I've had, and realizing that I coached my first client when I was 4 or 5 years old when my parents got divorced. And I was encouraging my dad and trying to be there for him. I didn't know anything as a kid, and there's a lot of times where I didn't have the wisdom, but I realized that that was literally something I've been doing instinctively my whole life. So why am I not doing that now? And that's the thing about my job that I loved. That was the thing about my job that filled me, I mean, just really truly fulfilled me. So I started looking into programs, and as Jodi said, you know, synchronistically, we found the same program. We ended up being in, not just in the same class, but in the same group, the small group. And made fantastic friends, lifelong friends. Had the most, I haven't told y'all my whole story of transformation from going to life coaching school, but I will in the future. To say that I am a completely different person now than who I was is an understatement. So that is why I became a life coach.
That's really good. I remember one of the very first test life coaching sessions that we had in our class. We had to kind of ask each other some questions. And I asked Britta something about, she was feeling anxious about leaving her job. And so I said, tell me what your life was like growing up. And so she did, she explained, and I said, so you've been doing this your whole life, right? And that's the truth, and that is how you kind of know if you are on the right path of anything, I think, is that you're taking something that you're inherently able to do, and then it lights you up. I mean, whenever Britta and I even we have another life coach friends, several, talk about what are the clients that you want to help, right? We get so excited knowing that their outcomes are going to be so transformative,
because we know, because we went through it.
Yeah, because we went through it and we've seen it. And so is there anything greater than that?
Yeah.
It's not about the money, and it certainly isn't about trying to gain fame by these videos, right? These great videos that we make, but it's definitely about serving other people and helping them find themselves, because we had to do that ourselves.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
And I will tell y'all, this is the woman to thank of why I started my channel when I started my channel. Because I was weary about starting my channel before I finished graduating. I wanted to wait until I graduated before really starting my channel and my business. But it was Jodi telling me, why wait? Why not
What
do
are you
it
waiting
now?
for?
Yeah.
You got a camera, you got a phone.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Your first video came out before mine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then it was my turn, and I was like, I don't think I can do it. No, I did it.
Yeah.
But it did take me a little longer, but I wasn't quite ready yet. I already had some clients, and I was a little bit busy, and I was a little overwhelmed with my life. So
you had a lot more going on.
I did.
Front.
I had to wait for things to chill out a little bit before I could really do that. So yeah, that's our story.
Thank you guys so much for being with us this evening. And if this video resonated with you, don't forget to hit that like button. And also, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe to this channel and hit that bell notification so that you never miss out on a future video. I'll see y'all next time.
Bye.